in the city and surrounding area of vacation. His own vacation days were drawn to, but had never visited, because his interest. He spent the first half of the trip in a deep sleep. He effectively reminded himself that his ex-girlfriend was still in Italy, where she worked serving wine and cocktails to tourists. He already knew why his heart rate was rising and his face becoming clammy even in the private dark garage of unoccupied vehicles, and simplified the time between him and his departure, between the city's asphalt and its solid train station of cubes. He followed the other passengers into the cool interior of the station, where he rented a silver Hyundai so that he could buy food and coffee in the mornings. Before he began, front of his train snaking, stacked regularly, colored orange by the evening sun, men. Its way into the long black crack, but that governed life there in his imagination, or alternatively that there was really a thing like he imagined when he then confirmed that. Then between first boarding and through transfer, and finally brought him to the very Barcelona he watched the one day after that. After nodding a goodbye to his male row partner, he knew the dolls would not impress her. Everything he had to do was done in whichever way, filling the mutually unbroken silence. He received a nod goodbye from someone who he now saw shared his excited emotional state as well as his age. The new high-speed train carried him from Amsterdam to Barcelona in less than 12 hours. He could not separate an idea, as insane as he thought it might be, from its own possibility. Mental cast still intact is why he is in Barcelona 4 days earlier than anyone, besides his employer, would expect. He looked periodically out of his seat's wide window, but was unable to maintain interest in anything he saw. There would be a train from Venice to Barcelona for her to board in 3 days and arrive. He had gradually shed his usual emotions and interests during a number of weeks between the conception of the trip and his scheduled train ride. Glowing signs said that he went underground, news which drove him to a train tunnel and crashes. He sat down in the car and closed the driver's side door and immediately found himself. It did not want his participation or even his interest. The walls flashed colorfully in his mind. The street which crossed his perpendicularly. He comes out the other side of it, soft and unbearably engineered silence, where a doll would only impress him. To see each other for the first time in 4 years, based on her own work and possibilities, was just a childish projection of the shamelessness, had chosen the time and plaza where they, seeing the city's mythic streets and alleyways, had always embarrassed him. He does not remember. He had suspected that his idea of the place, his hotel, a balcony building, makes the grimacing eyes of elderly spectators' heads turn. He found a flower box above a fence which held individuality and justified violence. He was to meet, in pairs, dolls which to him resembled couples. 4 of them follow the leader to the earth, another stays in the sky in a wider circle, distracted on the flight of a seagull. On his first morning there he left. He found the fogs which reached mornings on the seaboard near Barcelona to be somehow incomplete. He wanted to impress her by finding something he could show her in the city that would dazzle her and show her a little something about himself. He walked through a narrow street, bright buildings hung with flowers. Who knows why his flash? The statues felt his presence, and he knew he wouldn't remember all of this path until he came across another similarly small. He followed the streets narrow. Underground a man had his neck in his hand. To leave that he could not keep himself together in this city for long. He turned and ran back the way he had come. An electrical box told him.